talks. Nobody talks. Nobody talks Shidduchim.
This is the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast.
Here we are, episode 35 of NTS, Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. Today is a cordial conversation with the experienced daters. It's Rosie, it's me, and it's just going to be us talking about our experiences as older, more mature daters, discussing what it's like to be an older dater today, quote unquote. Even though I say we are like younger, older daters, because we're not that old. You know, there is a number for things, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what age are you an old dater? What's it like? What are some things you should avoid? You know, what are some proper steps you should take? And like just how to handle this. So we're going to get to the episode. I'm looking forward to Rosie discussing, and we're going to be back right after this message. Hey guys, it's IJ from the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. I want to take a moment to tell you about this awesome new dating site that I even signed Avery up for. Finding a Shidduch match is very tough. Where do you go? Where do you find them? Fortunately, there's an all-new website for chesed-minded individuals that are looking to find their zivug. It's called Match Made in Hask. It's free, it's easy to use, it has a private database, and it's run by leading shadchanim from all different backgrounds. It's created for Am Yisrael. So visit matchmadeinhask.com to join. That's matchmadeinhask.com to join. Sign up today.
Hey, this is Yonah from the Nobody Talks Shidduchim podcast. Did you like our new jingle? Well, thank you. I wrote and sang it, but my vision would never have been realized without my talented buddy, Hillel Kapnick. At Uptop Recording Studios in Muncie, Hillel takes your musical dreams and transforms them into reality. I can personally attest to his talent and general awesomeness. Hillel is available for song production, musical arrangements, vocal recording, mixing, mastering, and more. He's also a DJ and a one-man band, so no matter what your musical needs are, Hillel is your man. For more information, check out his website at hillelcaps.com. That's HILLELKAPS.com. And follow him on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, episode 35. Here we are. It was just like yesterday. It was like yesterday, like we recorded episode 34. It's just Rosie and I today, as stated in the intro. How do you know when you're old? I think that's the question here in Shidduchim. How do you know when you're old? Rosie and I being more experienced daters.
Or maybe not when you're old. It's when people categorize you as old.
Yeah.
When have you officially reached an older
Great point, by
single?
the way. Okay, I love that point. Yeah. How do you, reach becoming an older single?
Yeah. You know, the privilege of being called that.
The privilege of being called that. There's no privilege in that, by the way. Yeah, look, you know.
Oh, no. Because when you say, but I'm an older single person, people back away with you a little bit. They're like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes,
there is
sometimes they don't know your age.
Right.
They're like, oh, really? I didn't realize you were 27. Oh my God. Oh yeah, what's the big deal? It's crazy, right? Like, because as I get older and I networking with an older crowd, because that's how I split up the Jewish community in my mind. There's married people, and then there are not married people. So whether I'm 30 or I'm 20, 30, 20, I'm single. This kid is 20 and he's single. We're kind of in the same boat, right? Because I could have a married friend and he could have a married friend. And they have more in common because they're married and we're not, and I'm not. And that obviously, like, that starts to affect me, and that starts to affect singles out there, because your friendship circles, your neighborhood, your community is kind of like getting a lot smaller because you're not able, for reasonable reasons.
Sometimes not so reasonable.
Right, you're not reasonable reasons. You're not able to just connect with a married friend like that, you know? That makes sense?
Yeah, and also sometimes I look at myself and I don't think I'm an older single because I don't feel older, because to me, and I don't think it's just me because I've had this conversation with other people, I feel like I just graduated. College, seminary, high school, whatever it is.
All five.
Yeah.
All five, yeah.
We're very educated here. We didn't have that like life-altering moment where I got married and I had a baby. Now we're just in that like waiting phase of, I just finished whatever schooling that I did, and now I'm waiting to get to my next point of life, which usually in the Jewish world means marriage. So you don't feel that old, quote unquote, older single status, yet we qualify for older single status.
we literally do. We qualify.
And it doesn't even get us coupons or anything.
I know, we're like senior citizens. It should totally get us something, like some kind of coupon off. Obviously, see all those, those campaigns in the Heimish community. Let's try to get older singles married. Sign up today, get half your money off.
Where they specialize in singles.
Sign up today. Cupid is slicing prices, and all singles must go. Yes, Reverend. So I do see that. I think there's some anecdotal kinds of scenarios that you start feeling you're the older single. And let's start with some where some of your best friends are getting engaged. Some of your family members are getting engaged. And all of a sudden, age is a factor in that. I think there's some good aspect to this also, because this is forcing us to want to get married and continue and do all those things. It's like one of my rebbeim used to say, he used to have a neighbor way back in the old days in Brooklyn, and he has to have a neighbor, let's call him Marty, and his name was Morty. And Marty is actually let's call him like Tony. Tony would be like, oh, you, Morty, with all the kids. I mean, because he had a lot of children. I don't get it. You could be living such a wonderful life and wealthy and kind of fast forward 50 years when Morty's sitting there with his grandchildren and he's having one gewaldige time with his mishpacha. Tony's like, if I did what you did, I'd be happy. It's so true. So what's the point of that? That being is that I think there are inherent benefits of trying to get to this married stage in life, but managing it is tough. So let's kind of take it, maybe scenario by scenario here.
But before we do that, as president and co-president of the Older Single Club,
yes,
what age do we quantify you're now an older single?
Oh, okay, good question. What age do we quantify? Yes, so I think with a guy, it's going to be 28. 28 is the age. Okay. And with a girl, it's going to be 25.
I think 26. I think 25, you're still at that cups of you're fine.
Interesting. Well, that's from the girl's perspective. But honestly, I remember, if you're a guy starting out 19, 20, 21, 22, girls feeling it at that age.
Could we start at 18?
Because you started a little younger, yeah. So, okay, 25, 26 is pretty fair. I think for a guy, 28 is pretty fair. This is the age. This is what it is.
I actually think for a guy it should be younger as well. I think that...
really?
Yeah, because... At this point, we're just old, and
but there's that allowance in societal expectations because the guy has to go to college and graduate school and all those things, and I think we're stuck in that mindset.
Yeah, usually
because now girls are also going to graduate school. They're advancing their degrees. They're working in very interesting fields or conventional fields. So they are allowed that also, but still there's, it's kind of like in the realm of Shidduchim and talking to Shadchanim. It's like, oh, well, it's okay that she has her life figured out and she's 25. Like, oh, okay, good. That's a sell there. Okay, I didn't realize that. But, if he doesn't have his life kind of figured out by a certain age, well, they have to. They just have to, because if they don't, it's a little bit pulled back. But the guy also kind of gets that allowance, he has to finish a few more years of school for whatever the reason may be, right? Law school, dental school, accounting school. Doctors are just dropping, honestly. I tell you, I have so many friends MDs, and they went dental. It's just easier.
Usually, I agree with you, but I think when it comes to age, at 28, 29, no matter female or male, it's like no, they're older. And that we need to figure out why they're not married. I think we both have that cutoff time, no matter if we're career oriented or we're not. You reach an age where it's like, I don't care that he's still in school. You need to get married. You are officially old.
I cannot agree more, right? Because even if you let's say go back to school later,
it doesn't make a difference. It's like, why are you going back? Why are you not getting married?
Why are you not getting married? Right? Yeah. What now are you kind of throwing in your way?
Exactly. Do you really need a third major? No, you need to get married.
I have 5 majors. No, that's really good. Right, very much right on point. someone might want to. I mean, that's just the funny part of it. You know, guy might want to make a career change. Guy might want to go back to school. Hide out in school. I have a lot of friends who hide out in school. They want to go back to yeshiva. I have friends who just like 27, 28 did it. They were working in Big Four accounting. They worked like 3 years. You're burnt out and done. Okay, you're done at Pricewaterhouse, Deloitte, all these places, and they went back to yeshiva. And the parents like, oh my God, what now? What now? What are you trying to finagle with now?
Yeah, I know. I agree with that because, like, as a girl looking
but
into that,
it's a little bit of a double standard in some ways. But I'll give it to you. I mean, he could always go right back to it, but he's trying to get married. It's not easy.
It's not easy for us either. I'm not going back to high school.
Oh well, look, I'm
myself
here
in
defending
yeshiva.
the guys. You're here defending the women. You know.
Okay, sorry. United front, we shall stand.
And why should we have that age stamped onto us? Where this guy did everything right, went to the right yeshiva, went to the right seminary, came back, learned during the day, or went to school, finished up degrees, started working, did everything right. And now all of a sudden he's 30. And he's like, you know what? I want to just, I'm financially secure. Things are a little bit more calm for me. And I'm like, what am I living for now? Those years, all my friends got that. All my friends got to feel young, chill. I want to go back and do it. I don't know. Why not? I think it was a little bit of a sidestep, but I'm just kind of pointing out that there are these expectations with age, like where you need to be. But now, like, where are you all of a sudden in your 30s? It's different. Where are girls, you say, in starting in their 30s, being older daters, whether you know Rosie, like, where are they in the world? What are they up to? What are they doing? What are single women doing at a certain point?
So most of us are working.
All day.
And then when we're not working, we're pretending to be working so that we can keep busy with something. And for the women with a more professional career, I feel like it's easier because we're busy and then we can pretend we're busy with the things and do things at night. I actually feel really bad for the ones who are, let's say, who are teachers and mowers and stuff like that. They only, let's say, have a half a day of working. Like, then what? What else are you busy with? We can't really immerse ourselves go back to yeshiva because that's not something that's available to us. So, okay, you're going to get another master's degree. And then what? How many can you get? What else is there to do?
You get a cat.
Okay.
I know what, it is a big strain. It's a big strain. I think it's a big reason why a lot of girls kind of end up deviating a little bit from the derech. Not off the derech, but deviating from the derech.
Changing their ways.
Because it gets tough.
It does.
I think a guy, you could just work longer as a guy. It's just, but even still, even coming home 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, even going to yeshiva, you still have some free time. You may be off on the weekend. You're not doing too many things. You're still feeling the oldness, calling up your married friends like, yo, let's go big tonight. It's like, yeah. And they're like,
baby crying in the background.
Like, oh yeah, I gotta go. The baby, yeah, the baby's there. Or yeah, dude, we could go big. Okay, like 7 o'clock. I
gotta be in bed by 11.
Yeah, 7 o'clock at the bar. 7 o'clock putting the kids to sleep. 7:30, I'll be by the bar. 8 o'clock back. Gotta put gotta say hugs and kisses to the wife, and then night's over.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, you gotta figure out a way to keep yourself busy that doesn't look or act like a chore of keeping yourself busy. Because sometimes we take things upon ourselves because we're bored or we have time. And then it turns into, I hate this. Why am I doing it? Which turns into, help me, I'm depressed because I'm an older single.
Oh, yeah. I know. And what are like, so some singles end up doing like a lot of chesed projects, right? We just mentioned last episode.
It also looks good on our resume.
It looks good. It looks so good. Okay, been there, done that. I mean, it helps the resume, but like it just doesn't really in my case. Anyway, yeah, they kind of get involved in these chesed projects, which is good. What do you mean a chesed project? Because I'm like, chesed project, like, you get involved in a community, in a family. What does that mean? It's this organization, that organization. You're supporting Israel. You're supporting children with special needs. You're supporting politics. You're supporting Avery followers. Whatever you're following, whoever you're supporting. Okay, you kind of get invested in something. But then here's
then you're too busy to date, so then you don't want to date.
Right. Well, so that's a big thing also. But here's a point I wanted to point out on that is like, then all of a sudden, you get branded as, oh, you're that person. Oh, you're that guy. You're that guy. You're that girl.
Right.
Right.
I hear that. Yeah.
Oh, they're doing, that's special educational. Oh, they're that kind of person. Come on, can we stop putting people? Can we stop?
It was like the only organization that took me.
That took me exactly. How how do you get around that? Just don't. Just
welcome to the Jewish world, I guess. You just get stamped with anything you do.
You're stamped.
That person.
I know.
There's no getting out of that box.
Being older and single. Well, you kind of fall into this community. Elite group of people. I mean this with my whole heart. You fall into an elite group of people who are suffering from one of the worst non-health related things is like being single and shidduchim and getting
mental
older.
health, by the way.
And it affects the mental health. Yeah, absolutely. Not in physical health aspect, but like a mental health aspect. It gets to you. You're in this elite group. People like to go away. People like to do things. I know I joined this WhatsApp group, at some point during Corona. And we ended up going on this trip to the Hamptons. I had a looking forward to these guys, to going out. Got the beer, got the kiddish club, ready to party. And I'm like ready to follow up because, they started opening up the sports games. I'm like so down to just let loose. And all of a sudden, we're in the car, we were by the shop, by the Shabbos table. Both scenarios. Shidduchim. All they could talk about is Shidduchim. I'm like, first of all, guys, go listen to the podcast.
Shameless plug.
Let's get it. Yeah, shameless. There's nowhere to go to escape this, I feel, as an older single. There's nowhere to escape the Shidduch conversation.
Yeah, but then again, when you're married, what do you talk about? Your finances and your kids. So it's just something that everybody does.
But you have a partner, well, that's different because you have a partner, you have a lifetime spouse,
So you still talk about the same exact things. You're never going to escape your reality. And you need to just realize that and move on. My thing about these elite group that you spoke about of older singles is they are great people. You meet people who are brilliant. You meet people who are so not like you. And you're amazed by these people. But sometimes I just don't want to be with other people, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to meet new people. I don't have interest in that. I just want to have my friends and move on. But then you're like that weirdo in the corner who doesn't have friends, right? Who do you hang out with? So then you have to make that balance of new relationship with new people who really you have nothing in common with besides for the fact that you're all older singles versus your actual real friends who you don't have time to keep in touch with because they're super busy taking care of their husbands, kids, and family. So there's that equation.
I think at this point where we're seeing such an explosion of older singles in numbers, it's let's maybe kind of realize that, there is a problem, but
it's not a disease.
Yeah, it's not a disease. People can still live a normal life and don't just flock them with, Mirza Shem by you, it's got to happen.
The worst.
Let's not bring it up. Let's just not bring it up. I agree with Mrs. Nymark when she came on. I always bring her up, but I agree. We definitely have a problem. There's definitely something going on here, and I think it's we got to reevaluate where we are as a community and people, an individual. We got to get to a better place. But at the same time, it's let's not make it your crisis. Don't make it your crisis. Don't make it your crisis. This person, they're gonna be hurt. They're going to be affected either way. Either way. And you don't need to remind them.
We remind ourselves daily. We're okay, people.
It's like in that movie, I think it was Borat, and he's like, let's just get all the single people and just round them all up. I think they were talking about special needs, and they're like, we'll just send them to an island. We'll just send them to an island to be all together, and maybe that might work actually.
You know what I also hate? I hate older single events because they're trying to make them like super cool. This one's gonna be different than all the younger ones. You guys are the older, cooler ones, and they're just. I think they're even worse than the younger ones.
Way worse.
Right? They're like, it's gonna be mixed, not separate seating, because you guys can handle the mixed seating. And you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I went to one where they put you on a long table. When I talk about like a long table, like a 20-footer table. And they made everyone get up one by one, stand up, say your name, say not your age, say what you were looking for, and then say some, cute remark about yourself. And I'm like, this is horrendous. Why is this a better idea? Like, stop trying to make us feel good about ourselves and just do whatever you do with the regular younger crowd, and we'll be okay.
Yes, the regular crowd. Like,
the babies.
We're so different. I know. I'd like to kind of go into a little train of thought here. So, like, various factors, like with older dating. There's the age difference, which is imperative. For the daters out there, there are a few. I guess there are some who are going to want to date a younger girl. A guy's going to want to date a girl who's younger. Girl's going to want to date a guy who's older. That is a little bit too caught up for me in old ways. I don't think it's such a thing anymore. I think you want to kind of relate to the person. And in many cases, I found that going out with someone who's your age, a guy going out with a girl's their age or a little bit older might have a problem. Like the girl's going to have a problem with going out with a guy who's a little younger.
I hate dating guys who are younger than me.
So she admits it. So she admits it.
Straight out.
I knew it.
I say it straight. There's nothing to hide.
You people, see, I am right.
Do you like dating older
women? I am
women?
right here. People, see. Everyone's
he
like.
Finally got one thing right in his life. People, let's give it to him.
Yes, I got it.
No, but seriously, do you like dating older women?
Yes, absolutely. They don't always give me the chance because being younger, And the thing is like it becomes tough to connect with someone who's a lot younger than you. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, young ladies who are out there who might be in their early 20s. It's just there's an age gap, and there's a very different generation, and there's a generational break right now. Maybe let's say 25 and younger, and then 25 to like 40. I'm more in common with women who are.
You got to put
older.
A space in between 25 to 40. There's a big jump over there.
There is a big jump, but in terms of generation wise, we're kind of in the same generation. Not like people. I'm saying in terms of when we're single, like we're in the same generation here. Like we grew up with AOL, dial-up,
right.
Netscape,
okay, I get what you're saying.
Like we remember when Netflix was on DVDs. Like there are probably 100 fakakta podcasts out there on this stuff. Like you could find it.
Also, when we're talking about older and younger, we don't mean like 6 months, 3 months younger. We mean like 2-3 years
She's
younger.
3 months older.
Yeah,
oh my
gosh. What are my friends going to think?
Of course, like for me, it's always about the person. It doesn't matter what age, older, younger.
Right, but we do give ourselves certain things that we'll say no to, because otherwise you're inundated with girls or guys.
Well, what do you think? What do you
have
think are some of
standards.
the most common reasons for older girls?
Why we don't date younger men?
Well, even Bechlal in general, like just what are the top reasons what are the top responses? Like it's no. I mean, for guys, I could tell you, looks. Looks is a big thing. And I think, looks is a big thing. And I think guys, as they get older, I think age is a bit more of a factor, for sure, because
age up or age down now? You get older, you want.
So
older?
I would get very specific in that. It's tough because guys still when you're an older guy, you're kind of like, wow, like, do I have my life together? I don't know. Do I? I don't know. And like, if you're 31 and you're a guy, and now you're gonna go out with a 30-year-old girl, kind of thinking, whoa, like, what is she expecting from me? Like, what is she like? Does she need answers? Like, does she want to know like what I've been doing like with my life?
Yes.
I don't know. I think they kind of gets intimidated by that. And a girl, it's different. Like a girl can just be, I've been involved in chesed and I'm cooking and, graduate school, all these things. There's more pressure on that guy for that. So I think as a guy gets older, I could just see it. Like it's just literally turns into looks and age. You know, that's that the backgrounds just, you kind of get used to it. They blend together so much. You're like, you know what's going to work, what's not going to work. So you're kind of using that experience.
I first of all, I hear what you're saying about like the pressure, but honestly, in the society that we grow up with, it's the men have more pressure. You need to be providing for your family. So if you can't handle that pressure at 30, 31, that's going to be a no from me, dog. Right?
Oh, so you're saying money's a big factor here.
Stability. I'm not saying money. I come with my own money, man. I'm good.
Oh, well, that's, you know what? This is what Mrs. Neymark was saying. I'm just going back to like, Mrs. Neymark said it. It's not going to say Mrs. Neymark.
Is it going to be on the test? Mrs. Neymark said it.
Mrs. Neymark said it. It is on the test, actually.
So as a girl, what I'm looking for is stability. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean monetarily stability, but it means stability in life. Can you hold a job? Can you care for something? Do you have the headspace to care for me? Because if you can't care for your career or you can't care for your job or whatever that is, I don't think you can care for another person in your life. So what is this getting me dating you? Like, why would I want to get married to you? What's our partner? What's our relationship? What's our partnership? That's a huge factor in our lives. Like, we grow up, most of us grew up thinking, okay, I'm going to get married and then I'm going to have children and bring up my children. And that's my number one goal. Go Beis Yaakov. And we are not supposed to be working and caring for. So that is, as a guy, your job to care for us. So, and the older we get and the more independent we are, honestly, guys, grow up.
Oh, well, yeah, that's you're right. Girl has to kind of start learning how to take care of herself, providing for herself, and that does absolutely kind of shake things up a bit for the guy to come in and kind of like swoop.
Yeah, we're not so needy.
You're not so needy anymore. Yeah.
Which is the problem.
Right.
We learn how to depend on ourselves and not on other people.
And by the way, I think taking this I think it's the other way for the guy, that the guy may become too needy because he emotionally really is looking for someone. And it takes more of a toll on a guy. And
if someone can't really open up emotionally, then you're like, okay, I can, providing for someone monetarily is also another way to take care of somebody. But if we're providing ourselves because we have careers and we have jobs and stuff like that, it's kind of a negative, for us females. Like we're too comfortable. We're too okay with saying,
yes,
you're not giving me money. You're not giving me the emotional space that I need or whatever it is. So no. Move on.
And this is that advantage that the younger singles have, is that you can just go off base. You can base it off potential.
Yeah.
He's applying to this school. He has such dreams.
I always
he's
look
in the
back.
Rosh Yeshiva Shir. Oh my God! Like it goes, your heart's flying, and it's just not the case when you're getting older. Like actual life happens, and in 99 cases out of 100. You kind of end up like the conventional yid. It's reality, yeah.
Do you ever look back at your first date and think, oh my God, if this was the olden days, I would be married to my first guy, right? The parents were like, it's a shidduch, and like, I'm not the same person in the slightest bit, yet I'm the same person.
I
know. It's crazy to imagine me being married to, what's his face?
Yeah. What do you say?
Thank God I date. And didn't marry him?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is I think Shidduchim is actually a bracha in many ways, and you have to take it that way. He's creating you. He's creating you. World's not going to make sense. It's not supposed to make sense. You're certainly able to question it. You're certainly able to try to make sense of things. But you got to know that this is making you. And you know what? That's really the only way to take it. That doesn't mean you can't cry. Cry. Be upset. So when I look back at my first Shidduch date ever with Princess Sprinzenberg. Oh, God, that's Princess Sprinzenberg. She's everywhere.
I remember her. She's gorgeous.
Anyway, right? Like my first Shidduch date ever. I'm like, wow, I was such a baby. What did I know? I didn't know anything. I thought, oh, my God. But that's honestly where the hashkafa comes in. It comes into play. It comes into it. Like your hashkafa, the hashkafic upbringing, your general upbringing, that has an effect in kind of like, where you're starting from.
You're not a complete person then. You're literally still
you're
a baby.
Not, yeah, you're just not. And that's a difference in that, that's a difference in the generation where, my friends who got married young, that's what they needed. They might have been perfect or not perfect, but they needed to be married in order to kind of develop into a human being.
Yeah, they grew together.
Right? for us single people, au contraire. Like, it's just like, wow, we gotta find rebellion. We gotta find friends. We're gonna make mistakes. Da 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 da. Now you have less to lose in that sense, which is good. But I would argue with that and say, honestly, nah, we have a lot more to lose. You have yourself to lose. You know, when you're in it with someone, you're like, oh my god,
and you become very guarded. Like you said, you have yourself to lose, so you just put up those like.
Oh yeah, the bull comes out. You know, so why is that? Let me ask you, because I feel like older girls, the wall gets higher. The wall gets so high. Why do you think it's happening with the girls? And how can girls, you know, what your message could be to these women out there to, you gotta lower that wall. You gotta start tearing it down to let someone in. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Well, as women, we're more emotional, right? And the longer you date, the longer you date, the more and the longer you haven't found your partner that everyone is talking about, it's the greatest feeling in the world that you found that person, the more insecure you come about yourself. And as human beings, we don't want to feel insecure about ourselves. We want to love ourselves. So I feel like you just kind of shut that little part off in your brain, and you don't want anybody to get too close to you to knock that down, because what if you start feeling that feeling of ooh, and then it goes nowhere? You get much more hurt when you like invest in those feelings, which is a shame, because if you're dating, you need to be emotionally available to somebody. But we're not interested in giving it on date number 1, 2, and 3, because we've been there, done that a million times over. We've been doing this since we're like 18. You guys start at 2021, right? And then you become emotionally capable and mature at like 25. So really,
Agreed.
You've been doing it for like a half a year, right? Versus us, like every time we go out, we're like, this is the one. What do you mean? When I came out of seminary, I literally thought that plane is going to touch down on the tarmac. I'm going to walk out and I'm going to get married. So, and it doesn't happen. And it doesn't happen across the board. And nobody talks to you about these things. All they talk about is you're getting married. The second, you come home, you get married, you have kids, and that's it. Nobody talks about that, like that gray area of when you don't get married, except for the Nobody Talks Shidduch podcast.
Yeah, we do.
But nobody mentions it. Nobody talks about it because it's just not something we talk about.
It is not some. Well, there's no general game plan for it is the thing, because what we had in terms of this. Just to give a little history lesson here for the Shidduch people out there. Basically there was always someone in the family who just didn't end up getting married. It's not like this never happened.
But it was the weirdo.
But it was right. I mean, they became a weirdo, and I think it was a little bit more clear that person was weird.
But
everyone else was able to find someone.
We never knew them normal, so it was like, no, that was the weirdo person. Yeah. I can't be that.
Yes, and that's why it's so dreadful for us to look at. Like, oh my God, like I can't be great Aunt Ida.
Yeah,
I can't be great Uncle Ira.
The one that comes and everyone's like, why are they here?
Well, yeah, they come. They're at Hanukkah. They're at the Hanukkah table. And like they eat all the jelly donuts.
They bring you the worst gifts ever.
They pull out the smelliest, nastiest looking dreidels, like 300 years old.
And they don't leave. They're like,
and they don't leave.
We're gonna, you know what? Let's just stay for Shabbos, because they have nowhere to go.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I have that with Avery.
That was a genuine laugh, by the way.
She was laughing there. So that's the fear there. That's the complacency where we just don't want to be that kind of person. But honestly, obviously it started building up. And I know there's this Lakewood study out there that actually, this is probably one of the more legit studies I've ever seen.
When you say a Lakewood study.
So when I say Lakewood, I mean BMG.
Okay.
And because, Lakewood is under the auspices of BMG, and they got their top shot Hanim to do a survey. And the Shad Hanim hired literally like one of the top universities in America to do this. They're like, we're paying money for this. And they found...
So it's
a legit study.
Okay.
They found that the more discrepancies one has in their hashkafa, or their religious orientation, the tougher it is for them to find their spouse, to find a basher, to get married. And that has a lot of influence if you think about it, going from one neighborhood to another neighborhood. That's why in some neighborhoods there is a Shidduch crisis, some there isn't. I know all my out-of-town friends got married pretty quickly. It happened pretty fast for them. Because why? Because like there was a hashkafa, I guess, that everyone had, so they kind of like married each other, and then they married someone else from the other neighborhood.
I actually hear what you're saying. I feel like out of towners, they move
Yeah.
for a purpose. They move to New York, or they're
Yeah.
right now. My only focus is to get married, and that's what I have to do.
Yeah, see there?
And
See?
that's it.
Epiphany moment here. And if you go like,
IJ?
mention Lakewood,
Your purpose is to get married. Done.
Done. Yeah, okay, and now I'm moving. I'm going on. Lech lecha me'artzecha. This week's part. What? Actually, 2 weeks ago. Part. Whatever. It's important. That if you feel like this week's parsha is lech lecha, it's lech lecha. Okay.
If it applies to you, you're a Jew.
So overall, kind of thoughts on this. I just want to pick up where I was. Yeah. So I think the hashkafic issue is a big, mega challenge. There are floaters in hashkafa, like. You got to really decide to choose at a certain point, who do I want to identify with? That doesn't mean that you have to put yourself in a box. Doesn't mean you have to be like this. But, there's the modern Orthodox community where there are very little chumras. There's a lot of openness. On the more frum side of it, you have the more why you frum crowd. That's a modern Orthodox side. On the yeshivish side, or the machmir side, you have all the way from, being modern Orthodox to machmir, yeshivish machmir to yeshivish modern, maybe like you're more open-minded in many ways. You kind of have to figure out, where you sit in your hashkafa. And that is a very big help. Now that gets harder as you get older because you kind of deviate, away from it. You don't have yeshiva being on top of you. Don't have a seminary being on top of you. Girl doesn't have the chevra to keep up with anymore. They're having babies. They're not too much focused on them. So these are these obstacles where you got to really try to figure out, where's your place? Who are you? Stick to where you are. Yeah, I mean that's the kind of breakdown of it.
Yeah, and as humans, we don't like to be boxed into one place. And I hear that it gets.
I'm okay with it, honestly. At this point, I'm okay.
Whatever you categorize
at least
me
I
as,
could
fine.
fit in somewhere,
Somebody accept me.
Yeah. So that's basically. I think this was a fun conversation with the older singles. I don't know. We'll figure out a better name maybe. But the
elite
conversation with the experienced daters, and let's get to our. Hey listeners, it's IJ from the Nobody Talks Shidduch podcast. I wanted to take a moment to tell you about Greenpoint Podcast Studio. It's where we record. We record there every single episode. It is a beautiful, newly renovated, brand new, right in the heart of Greenpoint in Brooklyn. And it's basically a little bit close to Williamsburg, just a few minutes from Flatbush, Borough Park. If you're in Queens, it's close to there. And hey, if you're in the 5 towns or New York City, it's just a quick 25 to 35-minute drive away. So you can follow them or get in touch with them by going to greenpointpodcaststudio.com to book your next podcast session. Kind of chatted a lot. It was a fun conversation. That was very fun. Thank you, Rosie, for joining me.
Anytime.
After last week's episode, great, phenomenal. It was like it was yesterday. I think, honestly, it's kind of like weird stance here because, I'm in the Shidduch podcast. I love the shit, but this podcast helps people. This podcast helps older singles to vent, to let it out.
To see that other people are having the same experiences
as
you.
People there are, I'm telling you, y'all out there, there are so many. I mean, I have a few roommates. I have one other roommate. I've had many roommates. I have friends, and I know people who are going through this right now. And
you're not alone.
You're not alone, all that stuff. I would say like this, a few takeaways from this whole experience thing is you got to be proactive in taking those right steps. So you're finished, Rosie was talking about in the beginning of the episode. You're finished with college. Now you're starting a job. You're working at this job for 4 or 5 years. Okay. Maybe it's time to move out of the house. Get a roommate. That's a tough thing itself. Get a roommate. Go with that. Just take the right steps towards life, or at least these steps that seem like to be the right steps, seem to be the right points. Take them. Try to go in the same direction. Because it'll build you up as a person. It'll build your confidence up. It'll maintain your focus, which is good. On the women's side, it could be a little different. Maybe if you want to go back to school, do something. Maybe you want to get involved in a chesed. Or you know what? Maybe you want to focus on you time. You time is good as well. Whatever you got to do to make, like appreciate that time and be proud of it when you do find the right person. Say, this is what I did during my single years.
Yeah.
And I'm really so okay with it.
Let's not just wait to get married. Let's live our lives to the fullest that we can and be proud of ourselves that we're doing things and stuff and whatever it is, even if it's just painting. It doesn't make a difference. You are not, we're waiting, but we're not putting our life on hold because we're waiting.
Even if it's donating to the shidduchpodcast.com website. Okay.
The GoFundMe.
Yes, it's up there. I think there are people not to talk to, for sure. Like, honestly, don't talk to friends who got married on the second date. So the second date, first girl. Yeah. There are some people to stay away from. I think negativity is a big thing. Stay away from those people who are being a bit negative.
Stay away from the older negative singles.
Ooh, yeah.
Stay away.
Yeah, very. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very there. It's tough. You
because
can't.
Once you're in that environment, it's very hard to walk away from it, and you don't realize how they skew your judgment, and now you have become one of them. It's literally one of my worst fears.
Oh my God, Rosie! Oh, you're becoming one. It beat you.
It's so scary to become an older, bitter single.
Yes. I know. So this is very true. Okay, good. I hope everyone has taken away. This has been a cordial conversation with experienced daters.
We didn't even fight once.
Rosie and IJ. Another episode. Happy face, smiley face, silly face. This is the Nobody Talks Shidduch podcast.
Ouchies Media Network.